Hello and welcome to the Daily Dose. This week we are talking about deconstructing. If this is a new word for you, it's a term used a lot lately that's basically disassembling your faith and belief systems. And there are a ton of church groups and denominations who are against it and call it a sin and blasphemy. I've had many different times in my life where I've gone through deconstruction. I think for most of us who grew up in some form of Sunday school, we learned stories that were written in a style that would engage children. Can you imagine still having all of your beliefs that you held when you were 4? Of course not. So we have all gone through at least a little deconstruction. I also remember a big one when I was 18 and then again in my college religion course. And the biggest period of deconstruction happened when I started here at Calvary. I am a thinker and a processor. I like to look at all sides of everything and I like to challenge ideas. If you're really close to me, you'll know that I even challenge my own opinions. This is how I am built. I don't believe things because I'm told to. I want to know how things work, and I want to be an expert in everything I do. There are obviously strengths and weaknesses to that, but that is who God made me to be. When I started working at Calvary, I lived in Moorhead, Minnesota. This gave me at least 3 hours of road time 4 times a week. That's 12 hours at the minimum. I would listen to podcasts and classes that really challenged me and really started to break down this foundation of my faith. It was a very trying time for me. It shook me to my core. I would say that I was even a little depressed, not knowing what I could believe or not believe, what I could trust or not. It was really tough, but it was also deeply beautiful. I'm not going to tell you what the big things were for me right now, as it was personal, but it ended up strengthening my faith in the end. I realized that so much of my faith was built on what I experienced through others, not on my own. It reminds me of these verses from the book of Matthew 7:24 through 27. Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house. Yet it did not fall because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash. To me, this was the time where I had to break down that sandy foundation that I had built through my first 28 years through others. This allowed me to build back a foundation that was solid. Doubts are a natural part of believing. Doubts do not equate with unbelief. Christian theologian Paul Tillich wrote, "Doubt isn't the opposite of faith. It is an element of faith." In Genesis, even Abraham doubted whether God was really going to make good on his promise to give him and Sarah a son. Well, this has been a very long intro to my actual topic, which is how to refine your church in deconstruction. The reason so many churches and faith traditions are against deconstruction is because it is the reason so many people leave the church. It also challenges some of the patriarchy, classism, racism, and abuse that has been held in these churches for generations. These leaders think that God is not big enough for our questions, that God is not big enough for our doubts. I think just the opposite. I think God is so much bigger than anything we could ever throw at God, and that just like my favorite song, you're standing with your arms wide open. Even in my deepest doubts and wonder, you are standing with your arms wide open. Some people might struggle with going to church when they are going through this. I say that is the time you need to double down. The reason I love Calvary so much is because it is a family to me. It is a place I can be my authentic self and still be loved. It is a church that says, "Come as you are, dirty, broken, bruised, doubting, hurt, and confused. It doesn't matter where you are or where you've come from. you are welcome here. Who wouldn't want that kind of support going through something that can be as confusing as deconstruction? I think the reason we would be afraid is that the churches we have grown up in or have experienced aren't like that. I would suggest finding your Calvary, wherever that is. But know this, here at Calvary, we believe in and worship a God who can handle all of your questions and all of your doubts. I hope you'll continue to join us for the series and worship with us online or in person to find and continue a lifelong faith in Jesus, surrounded by other human beings who also don't have it all figured out. You are welcome here. Thank you so much for joining us. God bless.